Hi. Today we will explain the plot of the movie titled Double Walker, released in 2021. Alright, let's get right into the story. A man and a woman have just lost their little daughter, Cathy. At her funeral, Cathy's father gives a speech about his quiet daughter who loved to observe others. Meanwhile, the little girl's mother takes the time to clean the dried bloodstains on the carpet near the doorway of Cathy's room, the traces of what caused her death. After the funeral, the man joins his friends who are offering their condolences. Within a few hours, the house was once again quiet. The man wept in another room, while his wife mourned in the family room, drinking and tearing down the Christmas tree, the last witness to Cathy's life and the beginning of the fatal incident. Several days later, on a cold winter night during Christmas and New Year's Eve, a man named Brian pulled over to the edge of the forest for a walk, bringing his dog named Tony to play fetch. Brian was one of Cathy's father's friends who had attended the funeral the previous day. However, after the first throw, the dog didn't return, so the man searched for Tony, calling out the dog's name. Finally, he found Tony being petted by an unnamed girl. The girl did not answer when Brian asked if she was okay. Brian then gave the girl his jacket because it was very cold, and she was only wearing one layer of clothing and was barefoot. On the way, the girl didn't answer Brian's questions about whether she needed to contact her family or go to the hospital, so Brian decided to take her home. Inside, Brian made hot tea for the girl and gave her a blanket, apologizing for the mess in his house because he had just moved in. While drinking tea, Brian stared at the girl intently and was captivated by her beauty. Therefore, he decided to keep the mysterious girl there longer. He took a warm jacket for the mysterious girl, while she looked around the decorations near the fireplace. She was amazed by the toy music box on display. Brian explained that it was a keepsake from his grandmother. Without hesitation, Brian offered to help her change clothes. The girl didn't refuse at all when Brian began to undress her and touch her. But before anything could happen, the mysterious girl turned on the music box. Brian stood frozen, mesmerized as the mysterious girl danced to the music, unsuspecting. She walked to the kitchen counter to grab a teaspoon. Then, without warning, she attacked Brian from behind, killing him. The mysterious girl seemed satisfied with what she had done. After that, she enjoyed the blood on the spoon and put her clothes back on. A few hours later, the police investigated the place. Late at night, the mysterious girl had moved to another house, where Cathy's mother was asleep in front of the television. She sat down next to the woman. The mysterious girl then recalled that she had lived in that house when she was a child. One night, someone knocked on her door. She saw a black car enter the yard, followed by a faceless driver who kidnapped her and put her in the trunk. The mysterious girl then went for a walk and saw another of Cathy's father's friends named Jim. Making a phone call on the sidewalk outside a shop, the mysterious girl recognized the man and followed him, but Jim couldn't see her. A theater owner named Jack saw her and greeted the girl. He was surprised to see her wandering around in the cold without a jacket or warm clothes, so he took the initiative to invite her inside so he could give her some warm clothes. Just like with Brian earlier, the mysterious girl didn't say a single word to Jack. She just followed him as he gave her a hooded jacket that belonged to a customer who had left it behind. Since it was already late at night, Jack said he would take the girl to his apartment before driving her home. But the mysterious girl had nowhere to go. He found a pair of boots in his car and gave them to her to keep her warm. Jack told her his plan, but she remained silent, so the man assumed she agreed. Upon arriving at the apartment, Jack gave the mysterious girl some hot tea, then turned on the TV, which was showing a classic film for her. Finally, the girl spoke, though only to thank him for the tea. Jack said he had to go to bed soon because he had to take his younger brother to wrestling practice the next day, so he let the girl watch alone. It turned out to be the same movie Cathy's mother had watched on the night Cathy was buried. The next morning, Jack didn't see the mysterious girl in the TV room. The girl recalled her origins. On the night the faceless driver took her, they drove for a long time, but the mysterious girl felt no fear at all. Eventually, the car stopped in a desert, where two shadowy figures waited, also without showing their faces. The faceless driver on her right held a small flower, saying the girl could choose it and live one last day to make amends for her mistakes, after which she would die. On the other side, the figure on the left held a pebble. If the girl chose it, she would become a ghost forever, invisible to everyone except the faithful and the sinful. The mysterious girl chose the second option. In an instant, she found herself awake in her bedroom, in her childhood home. She was older than she remembered. perhaps 15 or 20 years old. She woke up naked, then took a white dress hanging in her wardrobe. It was revealed that the mysterious girl was Cathy, the ghost who had grown up and chosen to return to the world. She remembered that her resurrection had occurred at her own funeral. The woman she had approached was her mother, while the men she had followed were her father's friends who often visited the house when Cathy was a child. As she rose again, Cathy's ghost decided to take revenge on her father's friends who had dark and unsavory secrets. The next day, Cathy followed her second target, Jim, to an automatic car wash. Cathy sat in the passenger seat and waited for the right moment. When the car was finished being cleaned, the man suddenly appeared dead with a wound on his neck. No one understood how it happened, especially since there were no witnesses. Detective Sharon arrived at the crime scene to lead the investigation. Cathy remained silent, observing the crime scene from a distance. After that, she went to Jim's grave, which had been recently buried the next day. As night fell, Cathy went to Detective Sharon's house, who was preparing for dinner. From the outside, they looked like a harmonious family, reminding Cathy of her childhood. They had a young son who could see Cathy outside the window. The child asked if Cathy wanted to play with him. In an instant, the girl was in front of the child and joined his game. The boy's father appeared to invite him to dinner. The boy asked if his friend could join them, and the father laughed and told his son he could invite his imaginary friend. Cathy was lost in thought, observing the peaceful dinner scene, especially the little boy. However, in the middle of dinner, Sharon looked gloomy, and her husband grew concerned and asked what was troubling her. Sharon confessed that she was thinking about the man who had recently died. According to the forensic report, the DNA of the young woman who had died was found on the man's clothes. She couldn't fathom how that could have happened. Cathy's ghost then recalled the night when her father's friends, whom she had just killed, came over. When she was a child, her father's friends had come with a young woman. One of the men turned out to be Brian, the first person she had killed with a spoon, while the other admitted to bringing the underage girl without feeling guilty and seemed to enjoy being around young girls her age. They said they were going to have a little party among themselves. Cathy's father warned her to stay in her room and not come down while he was having fun with his friends. Cathy's father then asked her to keep it a secret between the two of them, but Cathy couldn't forget the frightened expression on the young girl's face. Of course, young Cathy didn't fully obey her father's orders. Secretly, she peeked through the ventilation gap to see what they were all doing. After visiting Sharon's house, Cathy returned home to wait for Jack to finish work at the theater. Jack was startled to see Cathy and asked her where she had been the night before, but the girl ignored his question. She invited Jack to sit down and asked him a question in return. If given the chance to be a ghost forever or a human for a day, which would Jack choose? Without hesitation, Jack answered that he would choose to be human for a day. Otherwise, who would manage the theater? He would also have to part with his father and would no longer be able to meet kind people like the mysterious girl. He believed there were many good things, even if only a few. In humanity, in his opinion, life as a ghost was lonely and unworthy. After the conversation, Jack asked Cathy if she had any plans for New Year's Eve, and he invited her to go to the New Year's Eve party with him. Before leaving, Jack lent her a dress, and then they went shopping for drinks at the mini-market. Here, they seemed to grow closer, and Cathy felt comfortable with Jack. After spending time dancing and drinking at the party, the two of them watched a documentary at Jack's theater. The film was a video recording of Jack's father playing basketball with his uncle. Jack then shared that his uncle had passed away a few months earlier from lung cancer, and Jack's family had searched the basement and found the video. Every time he watched the film, Jack admitted that he felt like he was watching his uncle's ghost and was haunted afterwards, but in a good way. In the middle of the film, Jack felt so sleepy that he fell asleep in the theater seat. A few moments after the movie ended, the two of them returned to Jack's apartment. Cathy let Jack sleep on the sofa, while she continued watching classic movies on TV. She recalled what she had heard when she visited her mother alone at home after little Cathy's death. Her mother had said to herself that she was very afraid that her husband would take Cathy away from her forever. They often fought and made Cathy's mother want to run away, but she had no money. And besides, if she had to live without Cathy, she was afraid of living alone. Her mother thought that maybe the girl would understand the situation when she grew up, but it turned out that Cathy's life was short. Cathy ventured out again in the middle of the night to continue her mission of revenge. This time, she went to a bar where her father's other friend Dawn was visiting. As expected, the lecherous man approached her in a half-drunk state and tried to flirt with Cathy. Cathy pretended to like Don's jokes to make him happy. They then moved to a motel, and without further ado, Don set the mood so that he was ready to satisfy his lust for the mysterious girl. Don also turned on his cell phone camera to record their activities without Cathy's permission, but the girl made Don think she was also enthusiastic about him. But without Don expecting it, Cathy immediately stabbed him with the same teaspoon she used to kill Brian. Shortly after Don died, a middle-aged man entered the room. He seemed unaware of anyone else being there and immediately apologized to the girl, but she was still emotional. The stranger rushed to see the blood on the girl's mouth and the body on the bed. The girl chased after him, and before he died, she stabbed him with the same spoon. As he lay dying, he said he didn't know what he had done wrong. Cathy lay beside the man's body for a long time. She felt guilty for killing him, but she still had to dispose of the body in a place where it could be easily found. The next morning, Sharon found the foreign man's body in the park and immediately called for help to investigate. At that time, Cathy was lying on the low roof of Jack's apartment, watching him. Jack sat down beside her and told her about his strange dream from the night before, where he kept repeating the same action. After that, Jack invited the mysterious girl to watch a wrestling match at his younger brother's high school. During the match, Jack said he would talk to his brother's coach for a moment and then buy some popcorn. Jack mentioned he was waiting for his father, who was also coming to watch his brother wrestle. To that end, he showed Cathy a photo of his father on his phone so she could wave at him when he arrived. Cathy is startled to see Jack's father's photo. It turns out that Jack's father is the innocent man she had just killed the night before. Cathy feels even more guilty, especially when Jack's phone suddenly rings. The screen shows that Detective Sharon from the Fairview Police Department is calling. In the distance, Jack seemed to still be talking, so Cathy decided to answer the phone and let Sharon speak. But after hearing Sharon's voice, Cathy immediately hung up. Cathy then disappeared, leaving Jack wondering where she had gone. After the incident, Cathy realized she had made the wrong choice. Her decision now made her feel lonely. She ran to her old house and called out for her mother, but the house was empty. That's when she realized she had chosen the wrong path in life. Being a ghost meant she would live forever, but she had to watch the people she knew change and leave one by one. She remembered the day she returned as a ghost in her childhood, when her father gave a heartfelt speech about her and what she would be like when she grew up. In the speech, Cathy's father imagined her growing up to be a good woman like her mother, strong like her father, and always fighting for the truth. The speech was deeply moving and showed how well Cathy's father knew his daughter, but it was the opposite of his true temperamental nature. Cathy's mother left the room in disgust after hearing the speech, which is why Cathy's father also made her resent her childhood. Feeling regretful and sad, Cathy lay curled up in the middle of her empty room. The faceless driver reappeared and gave her the chance she had missed, to live one day as a ghost and prevent the tragedy that took her life. Time then rewound back to Cathy's old life, where she woke up on the very day she had died. That morning was Christmas Day. Her father was dressed as Santa Claus, pretending to give gifts to the happy little Cathy. For a moment, they all enjoyed her father's role as the cheerful and fun Santa Claus. However, her father ruined the mood because Cathy's mother refused to refill his glass of alcohol. Angry and frustrated, what should have been a joyful occasion turned into a moment for her father to vent his anger. He felt his wife didn't appreciate his hard work and all the money he spent on decorations and Christmas gifts. In the midst of the heated argument, Cathy's father hit her mother, causing her to hit the fireplace. Little Cathy was naturally frightened by her father's sudden change in attitude. Trembling, she left her present under the Christmas tree and ran upstairs to her room. Meanwhile, her father just stared at Cathy's unconscious mother, then called out to Cathy without feeling guilty. He tried to persuade Cathy to listen to him, but Cathy was still traumatized and refused to open the door. Cathy's father then threatened to break down the door, so Cathy was forced to open it. Just as his wooden stick was about to hit little Cathy, Cathy's ghost suddenly appeared in the middle of them, stopping the stick and terrifying her father. The ghost then pushed her father into another room while beating him mercilessly with the stick. After hearing no more sounds, little Cathy came out of her room. In the next room, she saw her father lying lifeless on the floor. That day, Cathy's ghost successfully saved her life as a child. The police and paramedics arrived at their house to remove her father's body. She and her mother lived happily together, while Cathy's ghost automatically disappeared. In this alternate reality, everyone she had killed came back to life and continued their lives as before meeting Cathy's ghost.